Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to InnerViews, the podcast where we dive deep into the realms of therapy, healing, and intentional living. I'm your guide on this adventure, Ivory. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey with me? Whether you're navigating the complexities of trauma, embracing intentional parenting, or seeking self-help strategies, this podcast is your sanctuary. InnerViews is not just a podcast, it's a community. A safe space where stories unfold and healing takes center stage. Your story matters. And here, courageous storytelling is the heartbeat of our existence. We'll be exploring powerful themes like healing, navigating the intricacies of foster care, the strength found in survival, the beauty of reclamation, and the pure bliss of joy. So if you're ready to join hands with a community that understands, subscribe now. Let's walk this path together because the journey toward understanding and well-being starts right here, right now. Welcome to InnerViews, where every step is a celebration of your resilience and a testament to the incredible strength within you. Let's make this journey unforgettable. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of InnerViews. And thank you for being here. I love you so much. I already have the giggles. I feel like they're just bubbling up. We were getting into it.
We're gonna keep it under an hour, and I do apologize. Like, I know y'all probably gonna be listening to this at a later date. I was like 6 minutes late because a diva fell asleep and like had a moment and had to run to the store. But
All
I'm
right.
so happy to be here, and
I'm
thank you for
happy to
having me.
have you. Thank you for being here. As always, you always show up when I ask, and it's always a good time. Okay. The girls are tired. I had a nap before this too. I'm not gonna lie.
No, the girls, and I use the girls as like every pronoun for everyone. So it is very much the girls are tired. This
This
week has
week.
lasted 58
Hello.
years.
Yes. Make it
Um,
stop. January. We're still in January. I
We're
can't.
still in January, and that is the crazy part to me is because like Donald Trump has made January feel like a fortnight, and I cannot handle this.
He has made January fourscore and 2 years ago.
Like January 2025 started 58 years ago, it feels like. And now that I feel like we're back in the 1950s, welcome to my life.
But you know what? I just had a terrible thought. I was like, the men were actually really kind of attractive back in the day, especially the way they dressed in the 1950s.
That, but also they were roundhouse our grandma, so I don't trust those
That
men from
is
the
so,
50s.
unfortunately true. Okay, we're already off task.
Sorry. And we're not making jokes about DV because that stuff is
No,
serious.
we're definitely
But
not.
like, it was wild back in the day. But
And
yeah,
shout out to all of our grandmothers who endured that and who raised us
my,
differently.
my
And
grandma said, "Shoot, man."
I was talking to my great aunt, and she told me about how she mollywopped my granddad because he was
Bro,
just
service.
in the And I was like, yes. I asked her, did you get him? She's like, I did. I did. And I was like,
I
oh,
say,
that's all I need to know.
period.
That's all I need. Okay, we didn't even
Oh,
get. Okay, please, the people need to know. I already know. I have the honor and privilege of knowing a little bit about who you are with the mindset. I've also let you just show me who you are, right? Through
yeah.
friendship, through our interactions. And it's an ever-changing thing. We're not just one thing forever.
Yeah.
For those who don't know you, don't have the honor and the privilege of knowing you, can you tell them a little bit about who you are? And if you feel comfortable, talk about your experience with the child welfare system.
My name is Theron Ogedengbe. I am a LCSW here in Oklahoma. I've been working in the mental health field for 9 years, and I've been a therapist since 2019. I studied social work, clinical social work at the University of Oklahoma master's program. I'm a Taurus. I'm an advocate, comic book reader. I'm kind of a multi-hyphen. I like to call myself a Swiss Army knife of mental health because of my background with not only families, but drug and alcohol, teenagers, individual work, group therapy work, ODAZLs, substance abuse research, and also mental health assessments and things of that nature. So, like, usually I started out in the field doing a lot of clinical psychology work, a lot of the assessing and brain work. Now I am more into the field of working with kids at schools. I am an advocate for foster care. I've been an advocate since I was 15 years old. I grew up in foster care. Unfortunately, I went into the system about 8 years old, and I unfortunately aged out of the system. I have five brothers. Three of them are older than me, two of them are younger. So I'm a middle child, but I was also somewhat raised like the youngest child. So I have like a bratty disposition, but also don't bother me at the same time.
Love it.
My experiences with the foster care system, some people have great experiences, and I do not want to downplay the good that it did for them. But I am unfortunately one of those folks who had a lot of harm done from the system. A lot of people ask about my childhood trauma and my father, and I'm like, my childhood trauma, though, yeah, my dad having his substance abuse problems was traumatic. My father did not do as much or near as close to what the system done to me. My father never put his hands on me or made me feel small or belittle me. He just had his own problems and he just couldn't get them together. I faced a lot of abuse and struggles within the system. So part of my advocacy work is reforming that system because I feel like we need to leave the world better than what we found it for the generation before us. So I also
Mhm.
believe that with our foster care system. And again, there is good. There's good in it because there are pieces of it where I have to be like, yeah, you know what though? Like it did help me or save my life in that certain aspect. But we have to look at the duality in things. And part of that duality, especially with the American foster system, we see contract care used as means to punish kids, like putting for no reason too. There's kids who are being put in juvenile detention centers because they just cannot find a foster home. And they're
Mhm.
leaving the system with records, which is wild to me. Or we're putting them in inpatient facilities and now they're like stuck in an inpatient facility when they do not need it. One, taking a bed from a patient who does need it, but two, also adding trauma and putting them in harm's way for being in those facilities. So basically, my life goal is to just help other people. Like I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's basically as easy as I could put it.
Thank
And I'm
you.
a bad bitch. No, I was kidding.
Yes. So we met through our advocacy work, right? We're of similar age. Are we the same age?
I'm 32 years old. I never
Okay.
asked your age.
I'm 2 years older than you.
Either way, we're young, we're
Yeah.
fried,
Yeah.
it's fried. But
Yeah.
yeah, I met you through NFYI in
2020, I think it
2020.
was.
Yes, I've known you for 5 years, or of you since 5 years.
Yeah.
But like,
It's felt like
I,
a long 5 years.
I mean, come on, like Donald Trump, Biden
2020 in
again.
itself was like 10 years. I mean,
Yeah, I was literally like, I don't know if a lot of people know this who know me in 2020, because a lot of people met me virtually in 2020. My leg was broken the entire time.
I didn't know that.
And people were just like, you're doing all this advocacy work, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, from my couch because it was 2020. And my leg was broken. So yeah.
Hopefully it healed up well and everything's
Oh,
all
it's
right.
great. I'm in the best shape of my life now. Thank
Okay. Yeah, and we used to live really, really close to one another back in the day. I'm still mourning my luxury apartment in Dallas.
I loved that place. It was
It was a
beautiful.
lifetime ago.
A lifetime ago, and I do live in the South. Like I like to tell people all the time, people like to call Oklahoma the Midwest. It's not. It's the South. I grew up in the dirty South.
Yeah, I lived there actually. I mean, what's understood doesn't need to be explained. I was in Oklahoma
Yeah.
City for 2 years, and then I found myself in Dallas, Texas for 5 years. We have that in common. We also have a country in common.
Nigerian, yes. Oh, yes. So, like, I always like to tell people all the time, like, before I'm an American, I'm a first generation American. I'm a Nigerian. And so, in my culture, it's like, you're from where your father is from. Yes, I grew up in the United States, of course, but like, my father raised me. He was a single father. So, I have a lot of Nigerian sensibilities. So do my gang member brothers. You would think it's so funny how proper they speak, and then they be doing
Yeah.
drive-bys and stuff.
Oh
Uh,
Lord.
I'm kidding. But
Duality. We love it.
Valley of Life. And so, yeah, I am Igbo and Yoruba. And yeah, so like if you translate my last name, Ogedengbe, it means warrior. My name's not actually Theron. I go by Theron because, white folk can't say my name. But my name is Theron Atebe Ogedengbe. Theron is South African. Atebe is, Nigerian, and Ogedengbe is Nigerian. So yeah, it means my body is sacred.
I love that. What's there in me?
Hunter, I think.
So
I don't,
Hunter, my body is sacred warrior.
yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Period.
There's power in the tongue. I love it.
It
I
really
love
is.
it.
And the thing about Nigerians, this is no shade to Shabuzi. Like I gave him some flack over the internet a few months ago. our names mean things. So I am one of those kids who will correct you. Now people are like, what, you go by Theron? And I'm like, okay, so hear me out. Like a lot of Nigerians, especially if they move to the United States, they
Hmm.
change their last names. Granted, my father's name was Emmanuel, but he went by Steven. So I get it. Like, so I was like, I get it. But I have a brother, his name is Adoye, but we call him Dewey. Like
Hmm.
it's just my short version.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. And I almost married a Nigerian. That's the connection, y'all. I promise. Almost. I mean, he was a very nice, loving man. It's just he was not meant to be my husband, and that's okay.
Period. He
It doesn't
wasn't,
take away from right. And I think when you met me, I was probably still engaged. I think
you were, because I remember one time, and I know we shouldn't be just shooting the shit like this, but who cares?
it's our time. We can use however.
Hello. One time you were in Nigeria, and it was so, this is actually a testament of like Ivory's advocacy work. We had a conference call like at 10 a.m. American, maybe a little later than that, like at 5 in US time. And next thing you know, I'm like looking and it's dark where Ivory's sitting at, and I'm like, it is 5 p.m. And I'm thinking, and this is summer. So I'm like, ain't no place in America, you know, dark. And she gets on the camera and she goes, hi guys, it's Ivory. I just want to let you guys know right now, if I'm whispering, I'm in Nigeria seeing my family. Yeah, but I'm here. Ivory, because Ivory has such a calm voice. And I'm like, how are you in Nigeria, the motherland, and doing this? And that shows what
Yeah.
kind of star you are, but also like
Thank
what kind of
you.
like advocate you are. Because one thing about Ivory, if I've ever needed her to do something, or she's like, you always showed for me, I'm like, because you showed up for me.
Oh,
Like
thank you. Yeah.
in 2020, when you did that, I was like, you know what? I got to remember that. And that's why I made an effort. I was like, she has to be on my team.
Yes.
Why? I was like, because if someone's willing, again, to be overseas on vacation,
Hmm.
be up so freaking early in the morning.
Yeah,
Look,
the time difference was real. And I probably was in Nigeria, but if I wasn't, I was in India. And either
you
way,
were in
time difference
Nigeria. So I remember
was
you're
in
like, I'm in Nigeria. I was like,
Okay.
I was like,
The time difference is still crazy, probably at
you're
least
right there. Yeah,
eight
because my
hours.
homegirl lives in
Yeah.
Dubai right now, and she's like, can you
Mhm.
call me at like this time at night? So it'll be this time because my kids are just going to school. And I'm like,
Hmm. Hmm. That's what happens when you have a calling. You make time for it, and it's never usually felt like a grand inconvenience to me because it feels like I'm doing something that I'm supposed to be doing, which I don't know how you feel about it. And I didn't even get to the first question, y'all.
it's
I
okay.
knew
We'll
this
get to
would
that.
happen. It's okay. But I
Yeah.
feel like we've both been doing this work for almost 1.5 decades, I would gander to say, since we were teenagers. So moving on to almost 20 years between us, like 40 years worth of work. You don't always feel appreciated, seen, or valued in this line of work. But one thing that you know for sure when you get to meet other people, especially like yourself with lived experience, who not only you connect with on like a spiritual soul level, but who show up with the same passion and desire. That's what makes me personally, even if I'm in another country, even if I'm on vacation, hop on these calls, still be a
Yeah.
part, still do the things that I've committed to doing because, and I call everyone who's in child welfare my little cousins. We still have a lot of little cousins in child welfare. Whether we like it or not, they're going to be in child welfare. Well, if child welfare lasts this administration.
We will see, but
We'll
you know
see.
what?
We'll see. We don't know.
You know what?
But there's always going to be children in need. And there's always going to be children who are not living with their birth parents or their birth families. And so that is why I do this work. And I don't know if you know this. I think I might have told you I'm getting my first foster baby on Sunday. So,
Yeah.
like,
It's
I,
over. That's
yeah.
where you at Costco run. That's why we a little late, child,
Oh,
too. But
yes, yes. So I mean, that's another layer of doing this work, right? Because I was like, how can this is a person who's in my family, by the way. This will be the third generation of children who are child welfare engaged in my family since I've been alive. And I was like, how can I be a national advocate for child welfare reform and not show up for this baby in this way? And so there's layers to this work. And a lot of
and
the times we're not paid enough or appreciated enough or supported enough to do it, but we do it because we care. We do it because we love. And we do it because we see the impact of our work and the people that we work with. Were you going to say something?
no,
Okay.
I was like, yeah, we love the kids over here.
We love the babies. And me and you have both worked with kids a lot in our professional careers. Um,
Sure. For sure. For me personally, the reason why I work with kids, I was telling someone, I was like, the thing about foster care that connects all of us, no matter how long you've been in it, no matter what happened to you or what you've been through, we all felt lonely. And me
Mhm.
personally, like, and I don't want to get too deep into it, I've always had this weird innate feeling of loneliness. So I never want someone to walk this life with that ideology of how lonely they are because they're not alone. And that's why I do this work, not because I make money off of it. Sure, I have to make a living for sure. But like, I know that this job is not going to make me rich. I don't do it for that. My
Mhm.
heart's in it. My passion's here. I think I wrote in my grad school paper, they're like, why do you want to be in the social work program? And I just said, I'm a mess of a person with the need to do something greater. And that greater is to help others. And that's what I
Mhm.
want to do. But we do need to get on task.
We do need to get
Get
on
on task.
task. We'll get on task. I promise I'm going to bring us back real quick. But I just want to speak life into something you said, though. We have not definitely been paid our worth yet, but I'm really that changes. And I'm really hoping that we get to see in this lifetime flowers, that people really show up and say, you know what, you've actually done an amazing thing in your career and of advocacy. And we see you and we acknowledge you, not only with these flowers, not only with these accolades, not only with these awards, but with the paper.
Cut
The
me a check.
money exists. The money exists, and we know that we are systemically marginalized in many ways. And money is one way that we can equitably approach that. Okay, question number
Yes.
one. Let me get us on task. How many
Okay.
minutes is it? We're 20 minutes in and we haven't asked
That's
one.
okay. We are
Lord.
entertaining. It's fine. I
This is
hope they
not even
like
the half of it, honey. Like, oh, okay. So, Theron, as a licensed therapist and lived expert extraordinaire, how do you balance showing up as your best self while still holding space for your humanity? Also, what's your trick? Is it coffee, therapy, or just a sprinkle of magic?
Okay, that is a deep-seated question. So the reason why I can show up every day to work with lived experiences and not get burnt out, because it's never the work that burns me out, it's the environments that I've worked in
Mhm.
and management that has burned me out. Duality is going to be the word of the day. I have to understand the duality of the truth. I know. It's like Wonder Woman. She has to hold the lasso of truth. And with that, there's going to be this contradictions of the truth of there's so much beauty in the world while there's so much damage and darkness in the world. And I have to understand that both of these exist, but not all of it has to be all in consuming of my time,
Mhm.
my mental energy, my mental stamina. I love a good vacation. I love a good break. I read a lot. I play video games. I immerse myself into art, music, culture. I sing, dance. I go to the gym.
Yes.
I am a gym rat now. I've currently lost 35 pounds and put on 15 pounds
Yes.
of muscle because I've just been lifting.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's part of the mental health journey too. I have
Yeah.
bipolar disorder and other mental health struggles that I struggle with due
Mhm.
to one, just my genealogy and my biology, but also
Mhm.
trauma of growing up in foster care. I do go to therapy. I think therapy is
Mhm.
great. I am a therapist who goes to therapy. I already said video games too, but like one thing that really, really, really like connects me to just my life and take me out of bringing things home is I grew up with a lot of folks like this. I grew up in a lot of
Mhm.
and so for me personally, there's not a lot you can say to me that I have not either witnessed. And it's your trauma, not mine. So I can
That
empathize
part.
with it. I refuse to also sit with it because
Mhm.
after you leave my office, I do have to go back to like whatever
Right.
I face personally. And we're all on our different journeys. And again, a lot of Beyonce music and a lot of Lana Del Rey gets me through it a lot.
Yes.
And people are like Beyonce and Lana Del Rey, there's like polar opposites when it comes to subject content, but I'm like, Beyonce sings a lot of positive affirmations about body
Yeah.
positivity, self-confidence, and moving your body and being into your blackness and standing for black.
Mm-hmm.
While Lana Del Rey, I think poetry is so beautiful and she just
Yeah.
sings poems. And yeah, some of them may sound sad, but she's actually just processing how happy she is
Mhm.
underneath a very melancholic cinematic sound. And I think music is the healer. So I'm
Yeah.
constantly either singing to myself or playing music because that is something that I've learned to help me self-soothe since I was a child.
Right. And you said something a while ago that made me want to like reiterate that for the audience. I think that those inclinations that we have in common are one of the reasons, quote unquote, that we were able to be, quote unquote, a successful
Yeah,
foster kid, right? Because we innately had those coping mechanisms. We were drawn to those things that were more advantageous than other maybe behaviors.
yeah, for sure. I think and I don't mean to cut you off, like
No, you're good.
my brothers, unfortunately, are victims of the multi-generational trauma that we grew up in. And I don't know my biological mother like that. Like I met her when I was 18. My brothers have a different relationship with her than I do. Like to me, she's just a person on the street.
Mhm.
But I remember like one day I was just kind of like sitting in the back, just thinking about things. And this is before my father had passed away, and I was on the phone with him, and I was just, he asked me some questions that I'm not going to go deep into about like me and my siblings. And he goes, I feel like I let your brothers down because they were raised by your mother and you were raised by me. And there's such a difference. Like, again, my father had his problems for sure. He was not perfect. But though I have my mother's attitude, my dad would say, I have his ideology because I can go off on you real quick. But my father was very kind and patient, very soft, though he did not know how that he was innately teaching me coping skills by teaching me to like stop, pause, breathe.
Right.
I think my favorite thing my father ever taught me was think twice, speak once, think twice, act once.
Oh, I love
Uh,
that.
and so I've always had those coping skills, I guess. On top of that, I'm just Nigerian. I'm so sorry, but I had to be fucking successful. That is just in our
There's
blood.
no
Like
option. There's no other option.
my brothers have their struggles too, but they're not successful either. We all have our own homes, our own cars, our own
Mhm.
lives. No
Mhm.
one's in prison right now.
And that's a win. Coming from where we come from, I talked to my little sister about that too, because out of all of my siblings, of which there are three on my dad's side, three on my mom's side. So, and that's including me. I'm the middle on both sides. But when you think about the context of foster care, simply graduating puts you in a different
Yep.
category of success. Simply having a car and a license, let's even take the car away, but having a license puts you in a
Yep.
different category of success. Having a lease, or, whether you be in an apartment or a house, or if you have an own house, I'm in the process of buying a house right now. So.
Period.
It's a big deal, but a lot of us can't get here or have a really, really hard time getting here, or we get here way later in life than our peers for many, many reasons. But these things that are seemingly milestones for most people's lives sometimes are just so inaccessible to people with our lived experience because of all the adversity we face and because it's just a hard way to live life and have to navigate life. So thank you for sharing all of that. And I think my mom and Mr. Rogers taught me a lot about emotional intelligence, for sure. She's just a really emotive Pisces. So there's that. And she is a really beautiful and eloquent poet and writer. That's where I get
Mhm.
my writing skills from. Like if you love
Mhm.
anything I've ever written, my mom is like 50 times better than me, I
Oh,
promise. Yeah, but so I think through her, and because I was in foster care for 17 years, but I would live with her for like a few months and then go back to foster care, live with her for a few months. It's very cyclical in that nature. So I did get to spend time with her intermittently throughout my childhood, mostly throughout my younger years. And just someone who is as expressive as she showed me the range of, she's actually the reason why emotions scare me too sometimes.
yeah. My dad says that said the same about me. Because, it's really funny. My father was really soft-spoken, and I didn't realize how soft-spoken I was until recently. My voice carries, yes, but like one of my friends was like, "You speak in a loud whisper," and I'm like, "Huh?"
That makes
And
sense to me, yeah.
like you speak in a loud whisper, like you have a very breathy, like to your thing, and I'm like, all my brothers speak like that, but my father would joke and go, there's this singer named Paul Simon from, anyway, he has a song called "She Moves On."
Yeah.
And there's a part where he goes, I swear I'm going to be forsaken and abandoned and forsaken in her cold coffee brown eyes. And my dad will sing that to me because if you can't see, but my eyes are like light brown,
Oh,
like,
I've
oh my
seen them. I've
God.
looked in your eyes
I'm
before.
talking about, I'm talking to the audience. So like my eyes are like, my mother
Mhm.
is Arab on her
Mhm.
father's side and black. He's black and Arab. And then my grandmother is Creole, Louisiana Creole,
Mhm.
and her eyes are blue. Her and her brother's eyes are blue. And so some odd reason, my mother's eyes are green. And then my eyes are this light brown color. And so
Mhm.
my dad would sing that dang song to me when I got upset to be upset because I would like lose it. Like I could go
You
from like
crashed out a little bit.
I'm a retired crash out. I was like literally again, my father was like, you are very much your mother's child, even though you don't know her. Because
Mhm,
my mom could go 0 to 100 and I can too. And so
mhm,
my father taught me again, like unnecessarily, I don't think he was aware of what he was doing, but he taught me about emotional competence
mhm,
and how to calm myself. So now I'm just like,
mhm,
but don't get it twisted. So yeah, it's I'm glad we're both talking about our parents because one of the biggest things is like a lot of folks think that you grow up in foster care and you hate your parent.
no.
And I don't hate any of my parents, to be honest. I do not like my mother, and I'm very much friends with my father,
Mhm,
RIP. But like, I did not hate any of them. I
mhm,
have to realize that it was their first time on earth too.
mhm, mhm,
I don't know what happened to my mom, but something had to happen for her to be the
mhm.
way she is. And for my father, I mean, come on, he's a foreign Nigerian man raising five American children by himself.
And shout out to him for being a single dad.
Yes, like shout out to single parents in general.
I'm about to be a single parent.
But like none of us, I personally cannot say I hate my dad. Like there was times where I did not speak to my father. I definitely do not speak to my mother because she is still just a product of her problems and the environment she wants to create. She's no longer even a product of that. She is making active choices. And I have actively chose not to fucking talk to her. So it's
I
the
understand.
like I do not love her in the sense of like that's my mother. I love her as in the sense of like that is a person that helped create whatever this is sitting in front of
Mhm.
you. And so I have to give her that. But like if someone's like, what's your mom's favorite color? I do not know. Like I legitimately met my mother when I was 18. Like my
Right.
first thoughts were like, what is it? What's a mom? I don't have one. Why do my friends have one? Like just like,
Mhm.
oh, she's a I was like, cool. So like, which that's not funny, but like it is to me
Yeah.
because if life wasn't funny, it would just be true. And that's unacceptable. Carrie Fisher.
We both use humor, I think, as a coping mechanism because sometimes if you don't laugh, you'll just cry from it. I didn't realize also the similarity in our stories though, because around 18, 19 is when I actually met my father's side of my family. And up until that, I had only met my father once when I was like 10 years old for like a few hours. And before that, I used to look at men on the street and be like, is that my dad? And that's so sad, right? You mentioned something too. I don't hold hate in my heart for people. I don't hate my father. I just don't like him. He's made a lot of choices that I would never make given the circumstances. And I don't think he's healthy for me to engage with. But I love him. I cannot deny that I am his daughter.
Just like
And
my mom.
and I'm really grateful for my siblings because they're just wonderful, amazing people who get to be a part of my family and my future. But like and love are not the same thing. But I do want to uplift and highlight something for our audience that we are both privileged to have at least known who our mothers and fathers were.
Just folks don't.
A lot of people don't with lived experience. And even if you don't like your parents, there is something affirming in knowing who they are and seeing what they look like and hearing how they sound and being connected to them in that regard. It really does. I think it is helpful. Even if at the time you don't realize it, it is a really helpful part of your development. And I just want to acknowledge that we're really, really privileged in that regard. My little sister still doesn't know who her father is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of people, they don't know where
Like,
they come from,
mhm.
So and that is not lost to me. But thank you so much for sharing. Okay, let's try to get through some more of these questions because
Fine, you're fine, you're fine.
it's just
Hey,
ridiculous.
this is naturally, and it's we're being natural. It is fine.
We are natural. Yes, natural hair, natural thoughts, natural. Okay,
Okay,
Willow, whip your hair back and forth.
let's work it back and forth. Okay, okay. Let's get this question over to.
Get back on task. Okay, so you and I have been in these national advocacy trenches for years,
Yes,
holding institutions accountable, which is also why I think people are scared of us sometimes.
period.
So let's spill the tea. What's one thing people who want to work with live experts need to get right if they're serious about change?
I need the infantilization to stop and the coddling. There is this big, 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 like I'm 32 years old.
Hmm,
But
hmm,
I've been grown. And I hate to say it that way. I've been
hmm,
grown. I ain't trying to say I've been an adult or been mature, but I've been
hmm,
grown. The reason why I
hmm,
say I've been grown is when you have lived experience, especially my personal experience, I've been living on my own since I was 15.
hmm,
So I don't like when I go into these places, even at my big ass age of 32,
hmm,
folks just act like I'm some little child. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not. I have a master's degree, two of them, and I have been
Period.
working with it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've been working in these trenches again since I was 15. I'm about to be 33, so that's
Right,
18 years. I have 18 years of experience.
right.
I have educational knowledge. I also have lived experiences. I'm a Swiss Army knife of an advocate because not only can I say I've lived it, I've done the work. I've done
Mm,
the work on a national level, a federal level, a state level, a city level, a
mm,
face-to-face level. So I've
mm,
done the micro, macro, meso.
mm,
I've
mm,
already done it. I've been here. And
mm.
so when I walk into these rooms, a lot of folks are like, "You're kind of mean." I'm like, "I'm not mean. I'm Nigerian."
I don't think
Second,
you're.
I'm my mother's child. I look like this. My mom looks like this. It's just the face. And on top of that, again, Nigerian, they all look stoic and mean. What it is
I don't
like,
think you're mean for the
I'm
record.
not, I'm just
You're
direct.
direct. You're clear and direct.
I'm clear, direct, because I don't like to mince my words,
Mhm.
period.
And I appreciate that. I really do.
It's like, no offense to the American culture, but Americans are taught that politeness is agreeableness, a
Mm.
way of like, I'm not going to say how I feel, but like, I'm going to kind of dance around
Hmm.
do that. I'm
Passive
Nigerian. I'm
aggressive.
as serious as a heart attack. I do not like nonsense. And so
Hmm.
when I think it's nonsense, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it from the leg. Another thing is stop calling us resilient. I don't mind being called resilient though. I don't. But also like, what was the other freaking option? Like not surviving? Like, what did you expect for us to do? There's an initiative that NFYI is putting on called More Than Resilient that is being spearheaded, I believe, by Cortez. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
That's
But
probably right. We can text them after
you can
this.
text them and look it up, fact check. But either way, we're more than that. We're multidimensional people. We're not our trauma. And then second, don't ask us about our trauma. Let us give it to you because there is a rudeness to that. I will not ask you about X, Y, and Z off the bat unless I'm your therapist because it's my fucking job. You're
Hmm.
my coworker in this incident. In this,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think when I got to work with, and I hate to say it this way because I don't agree with this politics, I got to work with Mark Wayne Mullen my first time advocating, and I did call him the carpet. And we had such a good conversation. I remember his quote. He was like, you know what, we could get along, but we just don't agree socially. And I was like, I respect that. I respect that. But he
Sure.
understood where we were coming from when we were advocates. I was only 25 years old at the time, so this was my first time in DC. I was treated with the utmost respect. I was treated like a true advocate. I was able to sit down and speak and talk about my platform uninterrupted. I got to sit in on a meeting on the Space Force, and then they turned around and asked me my opinion because Mr. Mullen was like, he's highly intelligent. Ask him, which, we had our conversations, whatever. I got to work with Gwen Moore the last time I got to go into Washington, D.C., and it was another moment of being treated like a coworker, a peer, also as an adult, because I was an adult and an advocate. I got to meet Senator Cory Booker, same thing, got to be treated well. I got to meet the meme queen herself, Maxine Water, one, she thinks I'm funny, but
Yes.
treated me like an advocate. These are perfect examples of how to work with us. Treat us like people. We're just people. We are people who happen to have a different way of growing up. We all grew up differently, but we all have similarities in it, and there's intersections. And even if that's not something you can grasp, we're humans. Treat us like people. That's all.
I couldn't have said it better. And like you touched on something, which is kind of like the idea of tokenization and
Mhm.
this consumption of our lives as trauma porn almost. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people bring us in to sensationalize what we've been through rather than to honor and learn from what we've been through. And I think that is why lived experts also need to be included in conversations before, during, and after. It's not just a one-time situation. It's not, hey, let's call the lived experts in for 5 minutes and then they can leave. It's they need to be involved in the process throughout its entirety, throughout its entire life cycle. Because more often than not, people can be really disrespectful with how they engage lived experts. And I'll just leave it at that because this week has
That's why
already
you
been
gotta learn
84.
how to be nice, nasty, child. Because the thing is
Mm,
there's been times where I've been completely disrespected as a lived expert in the professional setting.
Mhm.
And the thing is like they are shocked to understand that there's not just such a soft voice underneath this. Because I will kindly check them, because calling someone repugnant is just enough to call them a bitch. And I like to use the fact that I have a big vocabulary to just say something. Because sometimes I'm like, well, that's a repugnant like thought or point of view.
You know, the inner English teacher in me is smiling so hard.
I mean, listen, like it's if you have a rapscallion ideology of who I am, I'm gonna treat you
Mhm.
like how I feel you are
Come
treating
on,
me.
words.
I'm
You
not gonna be
use
rude to you.
every.
No, I'm not gonna be rude to you or anything, but just because I haven't been in grad school for 5 years does not mean I forgot how to read. I will stand up for myself in
Mhm.
a very professional manner. And I think that is something that, like, when I got to meet, some of the people I got to work with, I think that's what they really respected about because I was like, I refuse to be tokenized. I'm a
Absolutely.
professional. I'm a LCSW. You hired me for my credentials, not for my story.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about us too. Aside from our lived experience, which we're very well versed in, we are also professionals. We have master's degrees. We are incredibly intelligent in the fields that we work in. You happen to be in social work and mental health. I happen to have a background in education and leadership. So, like, you're not just bringing us in as just lived experts. You're going to get that side of us and our perspective too, because we have integrated the two in a lot of the work that we do. And so, long story short, put some respect on our names and our
Well,
paychecks.
and my thing is this, if you're ever going to put my name down on any of your documentation, I need my credentials on there because I would not put yours on there. That is,
Absolutely.
I've had to fight for. I'm like, I'm so freaking sorry. I did not go to school for this to be disrespected like this. I don't care if my license does not go over in the city or state. That's fine. But I am an LCSW. I passed a test. I have my license, multiple. I have all my
Insane.
documentation. So you're going to put the LCSW behind it because I earned it. I will not take away your doctor status or your reverend status or your governor or senator status. Treat my status and education with respect. Because if
Mm,
you won't get me.
mm.
You can get
I'm
somebody
also,
else.
go ahead. You said
No, you get somebody else. That's all.
that part. It's hard. It's so hard though, too, because I know sometimes, I don't know if you ever think about this. I'm like, if I don't show up to do this right now, our stories are not going to be told with dignity. And sometimes it's like, do I show up and I show them how we deserve to be treated and show them what it looks like to be dealing with a legitimate dual professional of lived expertise and with my background in education, or do I just step away? I think clearly you have to leverage the safety of the situation,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be pros and cons to it. Oh, so many thoughts. Oh, okay, that's what I was going to say. I'm manifesting honorary doctorates for both of us.
Go
We
get one eventually. Like when I turn 40 or something, I'll probably
yeah.
go back and get a doctorate in something. If I get an honorary one, that'd be great, but I would like to get a doctorate.
I really do want to go back to school. I'm about to be 5 years away from 40. Isn't that crazy? First of all.
And I'm one of those people, like, I used to dread aging because when you grow up in foster care, you just have it in your head you're going to die young, me personally.
Yeah,
But also, like, I have chronic anxiety and bipolar disorder. So, of course, paranoia is going to be something going on.
absolutely.
But I've always felt that aging as I got older was scary. But then as I started to process those anxieties and the trauma, and then my dad died at 50, what, I was 22. My dad was 52 when he passed away.
My mom's
That's
30 years older than me too.
not, yeah, I
So
was like,
crazy.
not an age at all. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
After my dad died and I was going through the grief of that, I realized that aging is such a privilege that not everybody gets. So I do not fret getting older. Also, I'm Black. And so I'm going to look like this for a while. So I do not care about
That's
that.
true. That's so true.
Sunscreen and water. People are like, what's your skin routine? Sunscreen, water, and rest.
And
That's
minding your business.
I'm minding my business and being like as least problematic as I can. Because
Hmm.
the more hate you hold in your heart is the more hate you hold in your face. And so you're gonna be
Mm.
you're gonna have so much wrinkles. So, but
Okay.
anyway, what's the next question?
The gems, the gem. And I'm okay. Here's the thing. I feel like I'm gonna look young for a really long time too. People already think I'm like 20 years old. I'm like,
Yeah, like I think I'm like
no,
25. I get this. I'm like,
I'm like, I'm
you
almost
would.
40, which is crazy to say.
That part, I've like
We-
always tell people I look my age. I feel I look my age.
I mean, I don't know. You look good. Like you said, like
Thank you.
we look good. The thing
No
about it,
work done, either no seal, no surge, all natural.
okay. The thing about it is it just aging is not what previous generations kind of told me it would be. So, I still feel very playful. I still feel very youthful. I don't feel like I've met the goals that I wanted to meet when I was younger at this age. That's something I'm grappling with, but like life never happens according to plans. What is that saying? Like we make plans and God laughs at us, right?
Mhm.
But I'm still doing pretty well. I can acknowledge that and hold that nuance of that. For me, it's just the passing of time that is like so wow. Like in the blink of an eye, your life can change, let alone a year or 5 years. And so I don't know. I don't know who either one of us is going to be in 5 years. So we're just gonna have to see. Okay, let me get to number three. So let's flip it. As lived experts, we have a responsibility too. How do you encourage others with lived expertise to stay consistent, communicate well, and dare I say it, embrace healing instead of hustling and crashing out?
Hold yourself accountable. No one held us accountable in a lot of our behaviors because,
Mm.
I was never a problem child in the sense of like, and I'm not calling anyone problematic. I'm just using this as just to share my story.
It's your testimony. Mhm.
Never was a child that got in trouble much. Like, yeah, I got suspended like a few times, but like it was because of like my emotional regulation wasn't.
Minor details.
No, like last time I got suspended from school, I'll be honest, I was in 11th grade. This girl pissed me off to the point where like I didn't like put my hands on her or nothing like that. I'm not very much of a hitter, and I don't hit women. We do not advocate for that or condone that here. But she was like just being so rude to one of my friends who was such a shy girl at the time. Hey, Brooke, and I remember I walked over to the girl and I was like, "Hey, my friend was talking to you and you were being rude to her." And I'm one of those people like you could do a lot to me, but once you do something to someone, and I think this is like a foster kid trope, when you do something to someone who has treated us with dignity and respect or just kindness, we will fucking go to the ends of earth, like scorch the earth for them. So I was like, I got you, Brooke. So I went over there. I was like, "Excuse me, you were mean to my friend. I understand you're like new here, but like don't be rude." And she would not look at me while I was talking. And that's the Nigerian in me. I'm like, I'm speaking to you. And so she was coloring. And so I took the coloring book and I like ripped it on accident. So she continued coloring the page that she ripped out. Like it was fine though. Like the page was like
Yeah,
still
yeah,
intact.
yeah.
It's like one of those coloring books that you could
Hmm.
just pick up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like
Perforated page. Hmm.
so I'm sitting there and I throw the book outside of the window, crashing out on her, like saying some choice words. I'm like, you're not going to treat me with disrespect, but let alone my friend. And I
Mm-hmm.
got suspended. And that was the moment I was like, you know what? The thing is like I'm about to be 17 years old at that time. And I'm like, and I was getting in trouble all that week because there's just like a lot of stuff happening at the foster home I was in. And I did not
Mm-hmm.
realize that that was me processing the
Mm.
things that were going on. I lived in a very abusive foster home at the time in Omogi with Wilma Murphy. Fuck that bitch. And
It's on site.
like, no, dead ass is like on the thing is like I don't pray for anybody's downfall or anything like that, but I do know
Mm-hmm.
that karma is real and karma
Karma's
already
real.
passed, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna let it go.
We're gonna let the ancestors handle her.
Hello, I had a praying grandmother. The thing is, it's just like I realized I had to start holding myself accountable. I remember my father coming into my head in that moment, like me getting suspended, which had never happened to me before. I was like,
Right.
sometimes you have to think twice and, act
Mm-hmm.
once or speak once. And in that moment, I wasn't because I was so angry with everything that was going on with me that I took it out on this girl who was already kind of like a C word to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really cool or kind. And so a lot of folks now see that there's a lot of these, advocates who have this lived experience who kind of burn out fast. And it's because they're not willing, no offense to anyone, and I also know that like therapy is not for everyone, nor is it accessible for everyone. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us are not doing the inner work, and the inner work is not just doing therapy. Sometimes it's just sitting
Right.
down with yourself and having to understand like your reactions to everything and
Mm-hmm.
what role you play. Another thing is though is not to get discouraged because it's not about like, yes, I'm talking about my credentials, and yes, I want my credentials respected, but it's not about that. It's what you bring to the table too. There are so many advocates who are like, I don't feel like I am qualified to talk. I'm like, first of all, you are here with me. I am no better than you, and you are no better than me. We are here together. If
That
any,
part.
my father has always taught me, even if you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to leave the room. I do not walk into any of these advocate groups, even if I am the most successful person in there, thinking I'm the smartest bitch in the room. Because if I think I'm the smartest bitch in the room, that means I have an ego problem or I need to leave that room.
Hmm.
So with these young adults, even if you don't have a master's degree, life is the education.
Right.
My brothers are all hustlers.
Hmm.
And I used to get so frustrated with them when they'll be like, "Oh, you're not street smart." And I was not. And I had to learn that, being book smart was great, but understanding the ways of the world, how to move through rooms. Like the thing is, you probably are hearing my accent, my country accent coming in and out because I know
A
to
little
go to
bit, just a little bit.
I know to go to.
Okay, it's okay
I can
though.
walk into a room right now and speak to a room full of professionals and drop the accent. My adopted mom's from Alabama, so I tend to sometimes speak like that naturally. But it's all about what you bring to the table. And the thing is you have to understand that like you're worth so much more because you feel like the world is denying it. So that means that worth is there. And you have to be the one filling up your cup. You are going to have to know when to take a break. You need to know when to take a step back. You need to know when to self-care. You need to know when to advocate for yourself or also choose not to advocate for yourself because some things is just good as walking away from it. I have walked away from organizations in Oklahoma or, in Oregon or all the other places that offered me things because it just did not sit right with my spirit. Not all advocacy work is going to be in your wheelhouse, even if it's dealing with foster care. And that is okay. And there's nothing wrong. And I hate when people are like quitting is not an option. It is an option, and it is quite far the easiest option. And it's okay if you choose it to quit. Not everybody who grew up the way we did needs to be advocates because it's okay to like put that trauma after you process it in a box in your mind and put it in a closet and put on that box not to open again. I understand. I get it. My
Yeah.
brothers don't talk about our childhood
Hmm.
at all. I
Hmm.
don't really either, unless like my nieces and nephew ask,
Hmm.
because they do have questions, because they see that, my niece Zoe has a white grandma and grandpa, and I don't call them mom and dad, but my brother does.
Hmm.
They're like, well, why? And I'm like, well, baby girl, let me tell you, your granddaddy is actually this man, and she knows who these things,
Hmm.
those are those conversations, I respectfully have with her because my brother says I can. Just show up for yourself. Be there for yourself. That's all.
I want to highlight too, there is a difference between processing it and then putting it away, putting it on that shelf, and never processing it at all. I think those are
And just putting it on the show.
right. And I think there is an importance, and how do I say this? Telling your story if only you tell it to yourself, right? Because, like you said, not everyone has to be a national advocate like us. Not everyone has to do legislative work like we've done.
Some of
But
us just want to be mom. Some of us like are like there was a young lady I met and I felt so bad. She was doing advocacy work and she comes up to me crying and I was like, shit. Because when you see someone crying instantly, I'm not working, one, but it's always like a shit. You don't know if someone died or they like stubbed a toe. It can be anything. And it was really much, this isn't for me. I thought I feel like a failure because I
Mhm.
don't have it in me. And I was like, you being a mom and taking care of your child, that is advocacy work because you're breaking generational curses.
Absolutely.
And we have to look at it like that. You, as a former foster youth, foster alumni, or even being in the system now, you just living your truth and living a life is advocacy work. Same way I
Absolutely.
say about Black people just living, or a queer person just living, or how RuPaul says any drag queen who's willing to walk out of their house in a wig and heels on
Hmm.
is an advocate. That is advocacy, just living
Yes.
some
Hmm.
and hold space for that. Hold a
Hmm.
lot of space for that. Because again, not this work is hard. Like there are days, like I remember you don't know this, but there were days when we were in DC when you were with me where I'm like not going to bed until 2 a.m. with and me and Sabrina are like still working like on things, or
The
I'm like
whirlwind of a time.
dealing with stuff and I still have to go on to Capitol Hill the next morning with one, figure out how to get the puffiness out of my eyes.
Yeah.
Not for the weak. Like I'm not a manual labor person, but also because I know that's not for me.
Me
And
neither.
I don't even cut my own grass anymore.
Honey, me neither.
Pay the little boy up the street to do it. But the thing is, it's like Holding space for yourself,
Hmm.
processing things. And a lot of foster alumni, I always tell them it's like knock off the cognitive dissonance of what you've been through. Because a lot of us turn 18 and then they're like for me personally, grew up in Oklahoma. I turned 18 and they're like, you're on your own. And the thing was, it's like
Yeah.
it met me between the years of 17 to 22. I was not the nicest person. I was a good person. I was
Hmm.
a nice person. Because I did not understand that, like, what the fuck I just went through. As in,
Right.
they told me to go to college and succeed. So I'm trying to
Okay.
go
Hmm.
to college, process what the fuck just happened while also basically being virtually homeless. So
Hmm.
all these factors were also causing me not to do it. But like I always say, even if it's just like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, understand you've been through some shit and understand that like it's okay that like your advocacy work is just you being a mom or your advocacy work is going and doing this hard work. Your story is advocacy, even if you don't tell it.
And your story doesn't begin and end with your time and care.
Your story is when we first take our breath until we take our last breath.
Mhm.
But that story might continue because we also have a legacy to leave.
Yes, it's generational. And I think that I get so excited when I get to talk to people like you who have lived experience, who I've worked alongside, because we are all just changing the trajectory of our lineages and not just directly, but like through our nieces and nephews, through our communities, through our family members who are extended. And it's really beautiful and inspiring for me to watch. And I feel like we deserve so much because of the work that we've done. And I get excited when I think about what that's going to look like. So, like going back to the flowers, I'm giving you some virtual flowers right now, friend.
They roses and
Thank
sunflowers and
you.
second, AC, fine. Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I appreciate your willingness to share and to show up. I appreciate you pouring into the kids that you do in Oklahoma. I appreciate you just being authentically you and living out loud because not everyone's called to do that, but you definitely do it in a way that I think is really impactful and can help normalize not only the live child welfare experience, because I think that's one small tiny part of who you are, but just who you are in general. And my dog growled to just back me up with that. So
Period.
so he's supporting the conversation. Listen, we didn't even get through all my questions. I'm gonna have to
Keep
go.
going. Let's rapid fire these questions. No, I
Rapid,
can answer.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
you can just come back. Okay, but we can rapid fire real quick. Okay,
rapid
can we
fire
do
some of them.
like 5 minutes, you
How
think?
many questions we got left?
We have 4 questions and then my three final questions for lived experts.
Let's talk about. I can do it.
Okay, so let's talk family dynamics. What's one trauma-informed approach you'd recommend to foster or adoptive families trying to create emotionally safe and healing environments for their kids?
Keep siblings together.
Mm-hmm,
Allow visitation.
mm-hmm,
Allow kids to say no if they do not want to see someone.
mm-hmm,
Give choice. Hold
mm.
space. Be patient.
You got it. Okay. Mental and emotional well-being is the backbone of our work, but let's be real, it's not easy when you're advocating on a national level. How do you stay grounded and joyful while navigating all the layers of this work?
Therapy, music, calling my cousin Deja, who's like my spiritual guide, really pouring into my friends when I can. Self-care, self-care, self-care.
Mm.
Charlie XCX's Brat album, The
Yes.
Gym, Beyonce, Lana Del Rey. There,
Yes.
concert.
Okay, we're getting through it. Look at you, superstar.
Perfect.
Okay, as Black professionals, we often carry not only just our own stories, but the weight of systemic barriers. What keeps you going when the work feels heavy, and who do you lean on in your community to recharge?
My grandmother was a Black Panther, so I can't give
Mm.
up. My grandmother Mary, like, even though I grew up in foster care, was such an integral piece of my life. She talked to me about being a teacher in San Jose
Mm.
during her time because she started off as a Black Panther in Los Angeles with
Mhm.
Angela Davis.
Wow.
And when Miss Davis left to join the Communist Party, my grandmother, started having children around the time and moved back to, Northern California. I asked her, I was like, you're a woman in the 60s, as a mom, a teacher, Black Panther carrying assault rifles. What made you keep going?
Mm,
Said, I'm a Black woman. I had to keep going. And I'm not a Black woman myself, but I'm my grandmother's child.
mhm.
And I'm like, every time I feel like giving up, I hear Mary Davis come in my head, and she's like,
Yes.
baby, grandma ain't no red, no bitch, baby. You better get up now. So I'm like, all right, I got to.
I
I got
love
to.
that.
And so I lean into my friends. I lean into my best friends, Chelsea, Tufi, and Cotty, and John, and Daniel a lot. I lean into my cousin Deja a lot. I lean into you a lot. I lean
Mm,
into the drag queens that I work with out here in Oklahoma
mm, mhm,
a lot. I have a big community, so I'm very blessed and fortunate. So me as a Black person, my Blackness, I can't wipe it away. So I cannot feel discouraged. I'm Nigerian on top of that. I look like the ancestors that did the fighting, the walking, the marching. I cannot let them down, let
mm,
alone can I let my babies down. I got
mhm,
to let every little Black boy, girl, and non-binary baby understand that our Blackness is beautiful. Our Blackness
mhm,
cannot be erased. And if I'm not showing up, who will show up? I got to get my ass up even on my hard days. You know,
mm,
I have bipolar disorder and too deep into my personal life. I was in such a depressive episode last year, like the entire
mhm,
year. Like my weight went from 240 to 280 in a
mhm,
span of 3 months.
mhm,
And it was because I wasn't doing the work. And so, like, even with my grandma's voice of like, you got to get up, it was hard. But part of that was I had to make that decision to get up.
mhm,
Sometimes it's as easy as putting your feet on the ground
mhm,
and enough's enough, even while feeling the way you feel.
mhm,
Because we can't control how we feel, but we
mhm.
can control about what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No
And
problem.
shout out to our grandmothers. I'm glad that we got to experience them. Not everyone gets that.
Period. I had a praying grandmother.
Yes, grandma's hands went to church on. Okay, I'm done.
Period.
All right, before I get into my final questions that I ask all of my lived experts, I have one more for you, but it's a biggie.
Okay.
So, if someone wrote the story of Theron and Ivory taking over the world, what chapter would you write next? And what's one thing we haven't done yet that you know we must tackle together?
You go to the concerts and music and hang out more because I love you. If we wrote, the chapter is, huh, that's such a deep question. Let me think about it.
I feel like,
This chapter, I would say, is growth. The reason why I say growth is we are so immersed into our work and we are so immersed into our personal that we
mm,
are working on ourselves and while actively understanding that we are work in progress.
mhm,
I think it will be the chapter of growth. And part of this growth is understanding that you and I need to both understand as perfectionists that sometimes we are allowed to fail,
mm,
but also sometimes we do need to take a break. And I think as 30 somethings, that is something I'm starting to learn. We talked about it a little earlier this week about how there's a one way or the other with foster children. Either they're hyper successful or there's a lot of stuff going on. And people tend to look at the hyper successful and think like nothing's going on, but like
mm.
there's a lot. I have a chronic illness on top of a mental health disorder. And
Right.
last year taught me so much of like, I kept trying to keep going. That's
Mm.
what really made my body just quit.
Sometimes the work is rest.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm a person whose misery does not like company. And
Mm.
so I try to not be a recluse, but sometimes it is okay. Make sure you got those solid little people around you is good. But yeah, growth and healing.
That beautifully captures it. I was thinking too, I think we would need more time to discover that because there's a lot of discussions though about like what it looks like when you first, like when you're aging out, right? But there's not much on what that looks like afterwards.
No, like
There's
the thing,
not much guidance.
no guidance. Like the thing is, I didn't have a mom or dad to call when shit didn't go my way.
I'm about to have a whole baby in a few days. I can't
I'm
call my,
like, I'm still a baby.
I'm still a baby. I'm my own baby. My mom and my grandma didn't buy houses. I'm buying a house. Like, there's so many things that people take for granted who come from traditional family structures. Even little things like how many credit cards should you have? Or, how do you prioritize your payments on what's good debt versus bad debt? These are all things. Navigating school after you graduate undergrad, like that's a whole journey in itself. And we've done these things on our own and we'll continue to do them on our own. But it's not easy. And even though, quote unquote, we're often labeled as the successful ones, we still have our own stuff going on, like you said. And so I think that like a title we could have for our chapter would be two things, because you highlighted perfectly what I've been going through since I moved back here to Pittsburgh. failing forward and finding the joy in everything,
Mhm.
right? Because there is joy to be had and found. It doesn't always necessarily seem obvious, but it definitely exists. All right, so I have three more questions and then we're done for real, for real. But we're never going to be done because you're in my life forever.
Period.
Okay. But the first question is, so what changes do you hope to see in the child welfare system in your lifetime?
A standard of care throughout the United States because
Mhm.
all 50 states and territories do not have a standard of care. Reunification, but
Mhm.
also services after reunification
Yes. Mhm.
and mental health access to mental health care until the age of 35 for
Yeah.
any youth and adult that had issues or dealings with the foster care and child welfare systems.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Overall, what advice do you have for people with lived experience?
You're more than your trauma. Your trauma does not define you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people fall into, well, this is how I was raised, or this
Mm-hmm.
is this, or whatever. And I always tell people the voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, beautiful enough, whatever, or all these negative, pejorative things about yourself, it's not really actually your voice. I want you to sit down and think about that. And when I tell my clients that, they're like, I'm like, someone had to tell you that for you to think,
Mm-hmm.
now you think it rings true. And a second word of advice is intuition whispers, intrusive thoughts yell.
Ooh,
So
a good
when
one.
you hear that calm thought that's positive, follow that while that max
Mm-hmm.
is going.
Mm-hmm.
Follow that. I promise it will help you. It'll guide you. And always, always, always take your mental health and your spiritual health. Water your spiritual garden before you try to water someone else's.
Mm. That is solid advice. That
Thank you. Bill me. Just kidding.
I know. I was like, okay, so we're not going to be. All right. Last but not least, Theron, who are you without the trauma of child welfare?
I am a friend. I am a music lover, an uncle, a brother, a good steward to other people. I hope when people think of me, they will say kind, not nice, because I will tell you how I feel and I will say it like I mean it. I love art. I love comic books. I just love life.
Yeah.
I'm a big Sailor Moon fan. And, if I don't make change in the world,
Mm.
even though I feel I have. I hope my legacy is that I at least tried to make you smile or I made you
Mm.
laugh.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people see that I do this work and they see that it's so serious and it is hotly emotional and it's tough. But I just hope people never see me without us. Like, I'm a human. I cry. I have bipolar disorder. I cry all the time, sometimes unprovoked.
It's okay.
I want people to know that honestly, I just loved every moment of living, which is random to say, but I
Mm.
do. And I hope people take away the zeal and lust for life that I have. And I hope that inspires them to at least work on themselves
Yeah.
or help someone else. Or at least, when you think of me, you think of Lana Del Rey or Beyonce, something small. But I just hope that, like, the legacy I left was I just tried my best to make someone smile. I
Mm.
was trying to cry, not going to cry, but I was like, I never thought about this question.
I was
But,
closing on a hot
like,
note, honey.
like, hope when I die, like, when I die, they're going to say I'm special. I already know that. Like, I really just hope it's like the people that I got to work with
Mm.
or do things with. I just hope that they know that, like, even if it was just through therapy or anything, that I truly put my heart into it. Even
Mm.
if it didn't go the way it needed to go, I truly, except one client, fuck that guy who stalked me. No, fuck that. He stalked me. But everybody else, I hope they know I put my heart in it. I did. And I came with every fiber of my heart with just love and some sass, but love.
And on that note, thank you, Fred. I love you so, so much. And I am so grateful for all of y'all for tuning in today. I hope you come back next time for our next guest on here, interviews.
Well, when I get my podcast up and going, I'm working on a podcast.
Mhm.
It's called The Bitchy Therapist. I'm still
Yeah.
in the processes of it. I would love to have you on it because, like, I want to
Yeah.
just do interviews with people. It's not going to be like therapy all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
There are
I
tips.
mean, we could do a little bit of both. I'm down for it because I love therapy.
Listen, what I'm looking at with this podcast that I'm working on, we're going to talk about like Black mental health, but
Yes.
also like culture,
Yeah.
pop culture things. I'm still working on formatting. I'm still working on logos and things of that nature, but that is copyrighted. So any bitch try to use that will be getting sued.
And that's how you do it.
But thank you for having me so much. And if anybody would like to keep up with me, I'm not really like on professional social medias, but I will plug in my Instagram, my TikTok, which I mean, I don't know if I'll be on it as much because I did delete the app and also like Donald Trump is ruining everything. I do TikTok here and there, and it's under Theron Visage, where I just shoot the shit, talk about nothing. But most of my work is really just face-to-face advocacy work or, like guerrilla style advocacy work and
Mhm.
lobbying. So yeah, if you want to see me in my cute little outfits, follow me on Instagram. And if you want to just hear me yap, TikTok, I guess, even though I'm not posting on it no more.
We'll
That's
drop
where
all that in the show notes too. So you can follow him. You can click on those links and stay tuned for the bitchy therapist. I will be a guest. Thank you in
hello.
advance. And
Thank you so much for having me.
sincerely. Yeah,
And
I'm so
before we end
grateful.
this, I want to give you your flowers too, because like Ivory, you do so much for not only your family and the community that we share, but just for everyone in general. You're a true light. You
Oh,
have
thank you.
such a heart that is so gold. And I just want you to know, like, every time I'm in a room where your name is brought up, one, I'm going to defend your name, period. But
Okay,
it
thank you.
but it's never been to where I had to defend your name because everyone speaks so highly of you
Oh,
because of
thank
your
you.
professionalism and your actual love for the business. So
Mm.
I want to also give you your flowers and thank you for having me.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I'm gonna have to call you when I'm having a bad day. How do they do
Always.
it? They do it like this.
That's what the millennial, that's what the
I'm so not cool anymore, right? Like I'm not teaching
right.
anymore, so I'm not with the teens anymore, so I'm really losing it. Hopefully this baby will bring me back into my coolness. But okay, I digress. We're going to keep talking and I'm not going to end the show. So thank you all for listening to interviews and we hope that you tune in again. So much peace, so much love, and keep yourself healthy and well. The Interviews podcast is a production of the Safe Camp Audio Network, which is a division of Youth Voices Rising via Fostering Media Connections. Please visit safecampaudio.org on the web or Safe Camp Audio on all major social media. This podcast was produced and mixed by Christine Onjoko. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you consider sharing, subscribing, and or giving us a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast.